Yes, the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own, and to make amends in it.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future,
Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed.
Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it all on my knees. Oh, Jacob, on my knees.
He was so fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions that his broken voice would scarcely answer his call, his face wet with tears.
Oh, they are not torn down,
cried Scrooge, holding one of his bed curtains in his arms.
They are here. I am here. The shadow of things that maybe have been dispelled. They will be. I know they will. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, as merry as a schoolboy. A Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year to all the world.
Really, for a man who had been out of practice for so many years, it was a splendid laugh, a most illustrious laugh, the father of a long, long line of brilliant laughs.
I don't even know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been amongst the spirits.
Running to the window, he opened it and put out his head. No fog, no mist. Clear, bright, jovial and cold. Golden sunlight, heavenly sky, sweet fresh air and merry bells.
Hello there, lad. What is today, my fine fellow?
Cried Scrooge, calling downward to a boy in Sunday clothes.
Why, today is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day? I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello.
Do you know the poulterers on the next street by the corner?
Of course.
Remarkable boy. Do you know whether they sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
The one as big as me?
Yes.
It's hanging there now.
It is? Excellent. Go and buy it. No, I am in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to bring it here, that I may tell them where to take it. Come back with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes and I'll give you half a crown. Ha ha.
The boy was off like a shot.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's. He shan't know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim.
The hand in which he wrote the address was not a steady one, but write it he did, and went downstairs to open the street door for the poulterer's man. As he stood there, the door knocker caught his eye.
I scarcely ever looked at it before. What an honest expression it has in its face. I shall love it as long as I live. Where's the turkey? How are you? Merry Christmas. Why, it's impossible to carry that to Camden Town. You must have a cab.
The chuckle with which he said this, and the chuckle with which he paid for the turkey, and the chuckle with which he recompensed the boy, were only to be exceeded by the chuckle with which he sat down breathless in his chair again and chuckled until he cried. Shaving was not an easy task, for his hand continued to shake very much, and shaving requires attention, even when you don't dance while you're at it. But if he had cut the end of his nose off, he would have put a piece of sticking plaster over it and been quite satisfied. He dressed himself in all his best, and at last got out into the streets. The people were by this time pouring forth, as he had seen them do with the ghost of Christmas present, and walking with his hands behind him, Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He looked so irresistibly pleasant, in a word, that 3 or 4 good-humoured fellows said, "Good morning, sir." "A Merry Christmas to you." And Scrooge said often afterwards that of all the blithe sounds he had ever heard, those were the blithest in his ears. He had not gone far, when coming on towards him, he beheld a portly gentleman who had walked into his counting-house the day before, and said, "Scrooge and Marley's, I believe." It sent a pang across his heart to think how this old gentleman would look upon him when they met, but he knew what path lay straight before him, and he took it, and he took the old gentleman by both his hands.
"My dear sir, how do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. A Merry Christmas to you, sir."
Good Lord, Mr. Scrooge? My goodness.
"Yes, that is my name, and I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and will you have the goodness—"
Scrooge whispered in his ear.
Lord bless me, my dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
"If you please, and not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?"
My dear sir, I do not know what to say to such a munificent...
"Don't say anything, please. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?"
Oh, I will.
And it was clear he meant to do it. He went to church and walked about the streets and watched the people hurrying to and fro and patted children on the head. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps towards his nephew's house. He passed the door a dozen times before he had the courage to go up and knock. But he made a dash and did it.
Is your master at home, dear?
Yes, sir.
Where is he, my love?
He's in the dining room, sir, along with the mistress. I'll show you upstairs, if you please.
Thank you kindly. He knows me. I'll go in there, my dear.
He turned it gently and sidled his face in round the door.
Fred!
Dear heart alive, how his niece by marriage started. Scrooge had forgotten for the moment about her sitting in the corner with the footstool, or he wouldn't have done it on any account.
Why, bless my soul, who's that?
It is your Uncle Scrooge. I have come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?
Let him in. It is a mercy he didn't shake his arms off. He was at home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be heartier. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness. But he was early at the office the next morning. Oh, he was early there. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming in late. That was the thing he had set his heart upon, and he did it. Yes, he did. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1:15. No Bob. He was a full 18 minutes and a half behind his time. Scrooge sat with his door wide open, that he might see him come into the tank. His hat was off before he opened the door, driving away with his pen as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
What do you mean coming in here at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
You are. Yes, I think you are. Step this way, sir, if you please.
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry myself yesterday, sir.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I'm not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer.
He continued, leaping from his stool and giving Bob such a dig in the waistcoat that he staggered back into the tank again.
And therefore, I am about to raise your salary. Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, Bob, my good fellow, than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family. And we'll discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop, Bob. Make up the fires. Oh, and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
And Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good of which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset. And knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite as well that they should wrinkle up their eyes and grins as have the malady in less attractive forms. His own heart laughed, and it was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, every one.